Right guys, time to check out the solo section. This section is going to be pretty long. I'm going to try and cover all of the solo with as much note for note accuracy as possible. So without further ado, let's check it out. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to split this solo into 4 parts to make it easy to memorize. This is the first part. We're going to be on the 7th fret of the 2nd and 3rd strings. First finger on the 7th fret 3rd string, second finger on the 7th fret 2nd string. What we're going to do is we're going to pick these 2 strings together. Once we pick them, we're going to do a bend slightly downwards and then return back to pitch. And then we're going to repeat the process. This is the rhythm. Alright, now we need to include the wah in this. So what you're going to do with the wah, you're going to engage it straight away at the beginning of the solo. So my heel is pressing down on the bottom of the pedal. So the wah is going to copy my bending. So when I'm not bending, the wah is going to be closed. When I do the bend, the wah is going to be open. Open meaning I've pushed my foot down. Closed meaning I've returned it back to just where my heel is. So this is what it's going to sound like. So there we go. And then before we switch the wah off, for the rest of the solo, we're going to do this. So open with the wah on the 7th fret with our 3rd finger. We're going to then close the wah and pull off to the 5th fret on the same string, so 3rd string in this case, with our 1st finger. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the 7th fret on the 4th string this time with our 3rd finger and pick it twice. Close once, open the 2nd time, so we get... And then we do a slide as well, as you can hear, down the 4th string. So all together. I think the way Kirk is playing it on the wah is a little bit more subtle than I'm doing here, but that is basically how he's using his foot on the wah. Right, now we need to switch the wah off. Let's move on to the next bit for part 1. We're going to play the 17th fret on the top E string with our little finger. We're then going to play the 15th fret with our 3rd finger, and we're going to play the 12th fret with our 1st finger. And we're going to be basically just doing tremolo picking the whole time and repeating this idea. Now, Kirk Hammett doesn't do it exactly like this, but this is what I think he was trying to do on the record, the way I'm going to show you. The way he does it on the record is a little bit different with timing. Sometimes instead of just doing pure tremolo picking, he's doing some pull-offs. He's sometimes doubling notes on the 12th fret or the 17th fret. It's a little bit chaotic, whereas the way I'm going to teach you is basically the way I think he wanted it to sound. But this will really get you in the ballpark and it sounds really cool. If I was to try and show you exactly the way he plays it, you'd realise that it's just not worth it because, yeah, you can tell this is what he was aiming for. Okay, so we're always going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Never 2 downs, never 2 ups. Now, it's pointless to count this, and that sounds crazy. But the reason I'm saying this is because there's so many of the 17, 15, 12 repeated over and over and over again with tremolo picking. It's better to just count in bars and then know when to finish this bit and move on from 17, 15, 12. So, the way I want you to think of this is you're going to do this for almost a whole entire 2 bars. And the very last time you go to repeat it before bar 2 is over, instead of going 17, 15, 12, you're going to play the 18th fret with your little finger rather than the 17th fret this time. 15th fret as usual, 12th fret as usual. So it's going to sound like this, and I just kind of count the beats. So basically, yeah, go by feel with this one. That is what Kirk Hammett is trying to do, but that sounds good enough, I think. Now the rest of the solo is note for note what I hear from Kirk Hammett. Then what we do is we go into this really kind of crazy descending part. And it's quite nice, this lick. It goes all the way from here, from the 15th fret, all the way down to the 1st fret, all across the high E string. So it's going to sound like this slow. And it's kind of got a triplet feel to it. So that's what it sounds like at slow speed. At fast speed. So the trick is, after doing 18, 15, 12, like we did just before, we're going to stay here because we're already in that area to start this descending lick that I just played. So once you're out of 18, 15, 12 and you're about to start this descending lick, I would start with your little finger on 15. We're then going to go to 12. So far we've got down, up. We're then going to move to the 10th fret with our 1st finger, like that. So 15, 12, 10, down, up, down. Then we're going to go to the 14th fret with our little finger. So we change position here, at this stage. We're then going to do another grouping of 3. We're going to go 14, down, up, on 10 with our first finger. Slide our first finger again. This will be a reoccurring theme. Onto 8, downstroke. So far we've got. Then what we're going to do, this bit's the most awkward out of all of this descending lick. We're still going to think from where we left off on the 8th fret. So you've come from 8, you're now going to play for the next grouping of 3. 12th fret with your little finger, 10th fret with your 3rd finger, but this time you're going to reach over to 7. So far we've got down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's the worst bit, that. We're then going to play 10 and 7 again. So 10 as an upstroke, 7 as a downstroke, and then we're going to shift our first finger down to the 5th fret, upstroke. So the new grouping of 3 is up, down, up. We're going to repeat that pattern again, but 2 frets down. 8, downstroke, 5, upstroke, and then shift slide with your first finger down to the 3rd fret, downstroke. So far we've got almost there. We're now going to do an upstroke on 5 for the next grouping 3. We're going to then play the 3rd fret with our first finger, and then we're going to go to the 1st fret. So what we have altogether is down, up, 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 down, up. What we do here is we're actually going to pick the 3rd fret again with our 3rd finger and do a pull off to the open string. So pick, pull off, and then we're going to play the E string twice again. So 3rd fret, pull off, pick, pick. And that is this whole descending lick. There we go. Pretty challenging, that bit, but you'd be surprised. Once you get used to the feeling of the shift slides with your first finger and base that as a pattern to work off, then it actually becomes quite easy. Quicker than you think. Next, what we're going to do to finish part 1. And slow, it sounds like this. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to slide from the 12th fret on the 4th string with our 3rd finger to the 14th fret. We're then going to palm mute and play the 14th fret another 2 times. Like that, so all together. Then what we're going to do, we're going to bar the 12th fret across the 3rd and 2nd string with our first finger. And then we're going to go back to the 14th fret with our 3rd finger on the 4th string. So this is the rhythm. It's up to you how you pick this. I like to do an upstroke on the 4th string when we return to the 14th fret. Then what we're going to do, we're going to play the 14th fret. Same idea, barring across both the 3rd and 2nd string. So I'm using my 3rd finger for that. So far we've got. So you can see how that upstroke on the 14th fret, when you return from the 12th fret barring, really helps with speed. So what I do is I go down, 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 down on 12, up on the 14, and then that gives me time to be quick with the 14th fret, which is played pretty quick afterwards. Then we're going to do an upstroke on the 12th fret, barring again the 3rd string and 2nd string. So we're going down, 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 up, down, up. And then we're going to play the 14th fret twice yet again. And with a little bit of vibrato at the very end. With a bit of a slide too. But you gotta be careful because that note doesn't last that long in the song. So it sounds like this all together. Right, so that is the end of part 1 of the solo. Let's move on to part 2. So this part sounds like Kirk improvising in E minor pentatonic position 1. So it's going to be quite repetitive. You're going to notice a lot of repetitions of 3. So the beginning of part 2 plays this. So that's how it sounds fast, slow. So for this part we're going to be on the 5th string, 12th fret with our first finger, picking it once as a downstroke, and then we're going to do a hammer-on onto the 14th fret with our 3rd finger of the same string. We're then going to go and do the same thing, but picking both notes this time on the 4th string. So 12 and 14, we're doing down, up. So far we've got down, down, up. Then, for this bit, we're going to stay on 12 for a little bit longer on the 3rd string with our first finger. So, that's what we've got so far. Think of that as a little cluster. We're going to move on and play 12 again, then 14, and then we're going to do a full step bend on 14 and return it back to pitch. Then we're going to go back to 12, an an upstroke. We're then going to play the 14th fret on the 4th string as a downstroke, and then we're going to play the 12th fret again on the 3rd string as an upstroke. So altogether we get this. What happens next is Kirk starts to play this type of blues lick over and over and over again 3 times. Kind of like that. The rhythm changes between each repeat, but one of these sounds like this. That's how it sounds slow. So we're going 15, downstroke on the 3rd string, 14th fret, upstroke, 12th fret, downstroke. That's all on the 3rd string, little finger, 3rd finger, 1st finger. And then we're going to go to the 14th fret on the 4th string, and we're going to do an upstroke on that one. We're then going to go back to the 12th fret, and then the whole idea repeats again. So all together, then again. And the 3rd time it does this, the rhythm is a little bit slower on the 15 and the 14. Listen to the song for the rhythm. I don't think this was intentionally planned the way he's going to play it, it just happened as they were recording, which is why I'm not getting into loads of detail about the rhythm in this bit. He's just kind of improvising on that idea. But those are the exact notes, and it is played 3 times, just like I played it then. Then what happens, after 3 repeats of that, is Kirk then does almost the exact same thing, but what he does is he starts on 14 instead of 15 this time, and what he's doing is he's going 14, 15, 14, 12, 14, 12. So it's only 1 note extra. So 3 repeats, just like before. The only difference between these 3 repeats, after you've played the 14th fret as a downstroke, when you go to 15, you're going to do a sequence of pull-offs. 15, pull off to 14, pull off to 12. And then it's always picked after that. So that's the only variation between these 3. So far we've got 2 different versions of the blues idea. Again, listen to the original song for the rhythm with these. He is kind of playing around with the rhythm slightly, especially when it gets to the 3rd repeat each time. Right, so after we've done the blues part, this is what the next part sounds like. Slow. Right, so how do we play this? So we're going to go on the 12th fret with our 1st finger, 3rd string, downstroke. We're then going to do an upstroke on the 14th fret on the 3rd string with our 3rd finger. And this bend is going to be somewhat slow. It's not a quick bend anyway. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bar the 12th fret on the 1st string and 2nd string. We're going to pick the 1st string first, and then the 2nd string second. So far we've got... We're then going to go to the 15th fret on the 2nd string with our 3rd finger, and we're going to do a full step bend here. And that gives us our E note. With this bend, we're bending it much quicker than the bend we did on 14. So it's almost instantaneous. So all together. Then what we're going to do is we're going to play the 12th fret again on the 1st string with our 1st finger. 15th fret with our little finger this time. You can still use your 3rd finger if you want on the 2nd string. 12th fret on the same string, so 2nd string with our 1st finger. So far we've got... Then we're going to go back to 15, yet again, on the 2nd string, little finger, or 3rd finger if you want. 12th fret again on the top string, and then we're going to go back to 15 again, 12 again, this is on the 2nd string, the 15 and 12, back to 15 again. And this time, on 15, we're going to add some vibrato. So all together. Next bit, we're going to do this. That's what it sounds like slow. So 15th fret with our little finger, and we're going to pick this once. We're then going to go to 12. These 2 notes are both on the 2nd string. We then go to the 14th fret on the 3rd string. So far we've got, and I'm going down, up, down for this. I'm then going to return to the 12th fret on the 2nd string with my 1st finger as an upstroke. And then what we're going to do, we're going to kind of roll our 1st finger from where it currently is, where we left off, over to the 12th fret on the 3rd string. If that's uncomfortable, you could just bar this whole thing like... Once we're on 12, where we left off, We're then going to play 14 on the 3rd string with our 3rd finger. We're then going to return back to 12, and then we're going to return back to 14. So all together, 15, 12, 14, 12, 12, 14, 12, 14. What we're then going to do is we're going to do a pre-bend, which means we're going to bend the string before we pick it, and we're going to do a half step pre-bend, and then release it. So we're getting the sound of the blues note, that flat 5 on the 15th fret, by doing this. So once you've done the pre-bend, you pull off to 12 with your 1st finger on the same string. And then finally play the 14th fret on the 4th string. So fast it sounds like this. Okay, over to the next bit. This bit is weird. Kirk Hammett's doing a full step bend on the 14th fret, and basically he just holds this bend and does this kind of idea. Something like that is what he does. Slow. And you kind of just have to feel this one out. I normally hate saying that, but the amount of times that you're picking the string when it's held as a full step bend is a bit weird. The way I think of it is you bend the string on 14, a full step, you then pick it again, but instead of letting it last as long as the first time you did the bend, you're going to interrupt it with 4 quick notes together. So you're holding the bend the whole time here, kind of like that. And then once you've played those 4 fast notes, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, you still keep holding the bend, but now you're going to do this kind of rhythm. And slowly return back to pitch on the 14th fret. Once you have returned back to the pitch of the 14th fret with no more bend left, you're going to do this rhythm. So you pick the 14th fret twice, down, up, and then you play the 12th fret. So this is all on the 3rd string, obviously. So again, listen to the record for the rhythm. I think this was also improvised. And what I should also add is that when you are on 12 at the end of this bit, you need to add some vibrato. Right, so now we're on to part 3. We are halfway there through the solo. So now Kirk Hammett is going to still be playing blues style licks, suggesting Dorian mode actually. And we're going to start off with this. So what we're doing is we're borrowing with our 3rd finger on the 14th fret on the 3rd and 2nd string. We're bending the string down a little bit. We're then going to the 12th fret on the 3rd string with our 1st finger. We're going to be picking this note and just bending it ever so slightly out of tune. And then what we're going to do, we're going to play the 14th fret with our 3rd finger on the 4th string. And once we picked it, we're going to add a little bit of vibrato. We're then going to return to the 12th fret with our 1st finger and again, bend it slightly out of tune, kind of like a quarter bend. I think that's the best way to describe it. So far we've got. Then, similar idea, we're going to do the 14th fret barring again. Just the same. Now, instead of doing a quarter bend on the 12th fret, we're going to just play 12 as normal. And then instead of vibrato on the 14th fret this time, no vibrato. And then this time we're going to go to the 12th fret on the 4th string, and we're actually going to bar both the 4th and 3rd string and play these 2 notes together, like that. And here's the rhythm. And then to finish it off, we'll do a full step bend on the 15th fret with some vibrato. All together. Next bit in part 3. We're using our little finger on the 2nd string, 15th fret. We're going to pick it on its own. Then what we're going to do, we're going to prepare our 3rd finger on the 14th fret of the 3rd string as a pre-bend. And then what we're going to do is pick them both together. And gradually you're letting the 3rd finger return back to its normal pitch on the 14th fret. So it's a full step pre-bend essentially. And we're going to do that pre-bend 3 times. Then what we do is we bar the 12th fret on the 2nd and 3rd string, and we play that once. We're then going to go to the 14th fret on the 4th string. Then we return back to the 12th fret. We're going to play it twice this time on the 3rd and 2nd strings. Then we're going to return yet again back to the 14th fret. This time we're going to let this note sustain, give it a little bit of vibrato, and a little slide at the end. So all together. We're almost there now at the very end of part 3. This is the last instalment of part 3 and we're going to split it in half. 2 different licks essentially. That's the first part. Then it goes. Slow. We're going to be on the 5th string with our 1st finger, 12th fret. We're then going to hammer on to the 14th fret with our 3rd finger. And then we're going to pick the 14th fret twice. So it sounds like this. Down, down, up. We're then going to do the exact same thing on the D string. So nice and slow. Same picking technique. We're then going to go to the 12th fret on the 3rd string. Pick it once. We're then going to return to the 14th fret on the 4th string with an upstroke. We're then going to go back to the 12th fret on the 3rd string, downstroke, all together. Then we're going to do a bend. The bend is a little bit delayed. It's not a very quick full step bend. It's a kind of like that. So we're going to go that kind of idea. But Kirk Hammett is aiming for a full step. So the sound of the 16th fret on the 14th. Then we go to the 12th fret, after the bend, on the 3rd string, and then we go back to the 14th fret on the 4th string with our 3rd finger. And we're going to give the 14th fret a little bit of vibrato. So all together. Slow. The picking pattern is down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, the last of this instalment, we're going to slide out of nowhere to the 14th fret on the 4th string. We're then going to play the 12th fret with our 1st finger on the 3rd string. And then we're going to return back to the 14th fret yet again on the 4th string. We're then going to play the 12th fret with our 1st finger on the 3rd string. We're then going to do this. We're actually going to lay our 1st finger flat on the 14th fret on the 3rd and 2nd string. We're going to put our 3rd finger on the 16th fret of the 3rd string, and then our 2nd finger on the 15th fret of the 2nd string like this. And there's a reason we're barring with our 1st finger. Once we've played these 2 notes together, we're going to let both the 3rd finger and 2nd finger off the fretboard and do an upstroke. And we're left with that 14th fret idea we've seen before. We're then going to slide that 14th fret down to the 12th fret. Like that. So we get. Then we're going to play the 14th fret on the 4th string with our 3rd finger. We're then going to lie it flat and play the 14th fret on the 3rd and 2nd string again, 3rd finger barring. Play the 12th fret again, 1st finger barring. And then go back to the 14th fret on the 4th string. Giving it a little bit of vibrato. The picking is down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. And make sure to add vibrato on that 14. Now we're into part 4. Okay, so now we're up to part 4, the last instalment of this solo. It begins with a descending section on the E string. This sounds like this. And then I'll show you the next part later. So slow. I'm going to start off with the 12th fret, pulling off to the 10th fret. So that's 3rd finger and 1st finger. We're picking just the 12th fret, obviously, since it's a pull off. We're then going to pull off the 10th fret to the open string. So we get 12, 10, 0, 3, 1 with your 3rd finger. We then are going to do the same idea, but on the 10th fret and the 8th fret. So far we've got. We're then going to do the same idea, but starting on the 7th fret this time. 7, 5, 0. So far we've got. Then what we're going to do, we're going to ascend just for a moment, going onto the 8th fret with our middle finger, picking that, pulling off to 7, with our first finger, and then playing the open string. So it's pick, pull off, as normal. So we've got we're then going to play 7-5-0 again, meaning the frets. So we've got we're then going to go to the 5th fret, and we're going to pick this, pull off to the 3rd fret, pull off to the open string. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play 3rd fret with our middle finger, pull off to the 2nd fret, and then pull off to the open string. So we get 3-2-0. So altogether, 12-10-0, 10-8-0, 7-5-0, 8-7-0, 7-5-0 again, 5-3-0, and then 3-2-0. Quite a cool little lick actually. Then what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of doing downstrokes, which we did for all of that section, we're going to do this instead. Even slower. So we're always going to play upstrokes when we play the open string rather than downstrokes. It makes this lick easier for some reason. Don't ask me why, I just noticed it when I was practicing it. So we're going to do an upstroke, open, hammer onto the 5th fret with our 3rd finger, pull off to the 3rd fret, and then pull off to the open string again. So we get 0, 5, 3, 0. We're going to do the same thing but 2 frets up, 0, 7, 5, 0. We're then going to play that all over again, 0, 5, 3, 0. 0, 7, 5, 0. So what we've got so far is this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to play one more of 0, 5, 3, 0. But then we're going to add the 2nd fret and the 3rd fret. So it sounds like this, 0, 5, 3, 0, hammer 2, hammer 3. Then we're going to play an open with an upstroke. We're then going to play an open with an upstroke again, and do the 0, 5, 3, 0 again. And then we're going to finish this segment with the 7th fret, upstroke, pull off to the open. There we go. Then to finish off, it does this. Slow. Something like that slow. It's a little bit weird the timing again in this, he's just kind of improvising. It's not the same rhythm over and over and over. Anyway, we're going to do a full step bend on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. We're going to return it back to pitch. We're then pulling off to 8, same string, 1st finger. We're then going to hop to the 3rd string, 9th fret with our 3rd finger, pull off to the 7th fret on the 3rd string with our 1st finger. And it does that basically 3 times, but slightly different rhythms. The first 2 are similar. The 3rd one is a little faster. And actually the 2nd repeat of the sequence is not quite as clean as that in the original. So we got kind of like that, so the 3rd one's a little faster. Then the 4th one does this. So the first part's the same, but then we're going to play the 9th fret on the 4th string with our 3rd finger. We're then going to return to the 7th fret on the 3rd string, hammer onto 9, pull off back to 7, play the 9th fret on the 4th string again. Then we're going to go back to 7, but this time we're going to shift slide to the 9th fret, play the 9th fret again with vibrato. So we get and then to finish it off, we play the open string for 2 beats. 1, 2. We then slide to the 12th fret in our vibrato. 3, 4. Another 2 beats. We then slide to the 5th string, 10th fret, this time instead with our 3rd finger, sliding from nowhere. Adding vibrato again. And then we go to the 9th fret on the 4th string, sliding from nowhere again. And that is the whole entire solo. You can actually use whatever fingers you want when you're doing the... They're all 2 beats each, but the idea is to give each note that's fretted lots of vibrato. Whew, so that is the solo. But that's as close as I could get, guys. I hope, anyway, this has been insightful, and I hope you've enjoyed it.